Hi, I'm Zach Jeffries, and welcome to Saskatoon in Focus, where we explore the people in and behind the headlines that make Saskatoon the city that it is today. Today we're joined by Brian McCrea, who is a member of the Saskatoon Whitewater Park Embrace the Wave Committee. Welcome, and thanks for joining us today, Brian.
It's great to be here.
Brian, we've all seen and heard information about the Whitewater Park proposal that's going on here in Saskatoon. Tell me more about that proposal and what your committee is doing with it.
The potential Whitewater Park in Saskatoon would be a world-class facility. It would require some alterations to the weir, and it would be combined with a hydroelectricity project spearheaded by Saskatoon Light and Power. The Whitewater Park itself, like I said, would be a world-class facility. It would garner attention from world-class paddlers, Olympic trials, world-class competitions, and it would be an incredible addition to the Saskatoon's landscape.
So at this point, I know that some things are going into public consultations, and there's been a lot of information out there. So I'm hoping you can maybe provide us with some more details about the project and what your committee is actually doing related to the Whitewater Park. There's a hydro component, there's a Whitewater Park component. How do you fit into this whole setup here?
Part of the committee's sort of hope and responsibility is to truly embrace the wave, both the hydroelectricity component and the whitewater component. We see ourselves as fact-finding and fact-promoting people. We've done a lot of research on whitewater parks around the world and in the United States and in Canada, and are here to help people understand the benefits that come along with having a whitewater park. We've done numerous presentations to just about anyone that would listen in the city to try and get the right information out there. Very few people know, for example, that there are over 20 whitewater parks in Colorado alone, and they actually have a 6 to 8 week paddling period. In the States, they often rely on fresh water or melt to paddle. Here in Saskatoon, we'd have a 6 to 8 month paddling period. So people sometimes say, well, it won't be open for very long given our climate. Actually, we're going to have an incredibly long paddling season and an opportunity to enjoy the wave that would be in the city. So we're here to get information out on the project.
Great. So in terms of that project and information, I know that I've attended some public consultations and meetings, and of course have been reading all the information about it. There have been some questions about what does a whitewater park mean for Saskatoon? What happens to the pelicans? What happens to the weir? What happens, who's going to fund something like this? Those are big questions that people are asking at this point. And I guess I'm wondering, does your committee have some answers to those questions?
Absolutely, and first I want to make the point that this whitewater park is much more than about a wave. It's about building Saskatoon and building the city and the province that we all want to live in. There have been a number of things raised in the conversations through the consultation process, most of which have been addressed. The commonly quoted sort of pelican challenge with the project has been explained very well by leading pelican experts in Saskatoon and around the province. And to give you an idea, the people are worried pelicans are going to leave, and we've had the pelican expert Peter Kingsmill say that that shouldn't be the case. Pelicans are opportunistic feeders, and they are going to go where the fish are. The project integrates a working fish ladder, so the numerous species that would be coming down the river won't have to deal with the trauma of the weir, and it will have an effective fish ladder to get back upstream. So both the pelicans are going to be better off, and the fish particularly are going to have an easier time getting back upstream and being healthier species. So there's that challenge. There's a couple of people are worried about tax money being used to go to a hydro project in a whitewater park, and what people might be surprised to know is that Saskatoon Light and Power is a for-profit organization, and they are in the business of making money. They want to invest in this hydro project to make money, and they actually, if you go to their website, you're going to find out a bunch of information about them and how they actually give money back to the city that reduces the mill rate. So the hydro project isn't going to eat up taxpayers' money. It's actually going to provide them with the city with revenue. It's a revenue positive opportunity, and I know that the city needs to look for opportunities to make more money, and this is a great opportunity to lower mill rate. So those are a few ideas on some of the challenges and questions that are coming up. And if an environmental or geotechnical question comes up, chances are, if it hasn't already been answered in the pre-feasibility study, those questions will be answered in the environmental assessment, which is the stage that we're entering.
So you mentioned that we're entering that environmental assessment stage right now. What is the process going forward? I think a lot of people are confused. I know that I've had definitely some questions about where we go from here. What's the process?
So right now, the pre-feasibility and baseline studies have been done. Some consultations have been done, and more are on their way. Now, what's going to happen is Saskatoon Light and Power will release their findings from those consultations, or the consultant hired for that consultation will release their findings on public support, which will then be presented to Council, and then Council will make a decision whether or not to support going forward with the environmental assessment. Now, the city has asked the province to come in and help fund the environmental assessment. Now, we're going to have to look at some sort of partnership between the civic and the provincial level of government to make this happen. Once the environmental assessment goes through, it'll come back with hopefully answers to questions that are unanswered. And bearing that everything comes back looking good and doesn't compromise the integrity of our beautiful river system, can produce the energy that we think it can produce, and provide a safe and fun place for citizens to enjoy, then as far as I can see, it would proceed from there.
So you mentioned this being a fun and safe place for citizens to enjoy. For me, a guy who doesn't kayak, how do I enjoy and interact with a project like this?
That's a great question, and one of the misconceptions is that this is only being done for a few paddlers. Actually, this whitewater park would only receive 15% of its usage from paddlers. 85% of the people would actually be there to watch and hang out. We have some great summer festivals going on now in our city, and this is an opportunity to have a place to hold some of those for community to gather. You can do much more than kayak. You can whitewater raft, you can go down on an inner tube. There's dog surfing competitions if you're so inclined. You can surf, you can go down in a boogie board. There's numerous recreational opportunities. It allows people to pass through and get past that dangerous weir, and it would generally reconnect us back to our beautiful river in our city.
The one thing that I'm always curious about when we have projects like this going on in Saskatoon, Brian, is what is it about our community and what is it about Saskatoon that bring people together and make things like this happen? What's been your impression of the public support and the whole process going along? What have you seen from our fellow citizens in Saskatoon?
This project absolutely excites me because as a young person, I feel like I can actually identify with something. This is about building a better Saskatoon and a better province. And what's really cool about this is I've seen other young people come out of the woodworks and say, hey, I'm going to get politically involved because I want to help build my city. And so we're seeing a huge amount of young people come out and support this. People are writing and talking online. Our Facebook group has over 2,000 fans. Blog posts from the city and Star Phoenix are getting huge reviews and support from online posters. So you're getting a bunch of young people coming out and saying, hey, this is great. We're also getting people like the Chamber of Commerce coming forward and saying, this sounds like a great idea. We're getting experienced people in our city who say, you know what, people have been leaving this province for far too long, and this is an opportunity to give people something to look forward to. We're here to make a world-class city, and I think that citizens are quite excited about the potential. They're excited about the revenue generation from a green power source. So we're seeing all sorts of support, and the original Whitewater Committee, the Embrace the Wave Committee, has done numerous public consultation on its own and gone to whomever they want would listen and talked about the project. And frankly, at the end of a lot of presentations, people say, why shouldn't we support this? And we're hearing really, really impressive things about the project. So we're confident going forward in the next processes in the project that it'll look good.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for joining us. I have to say that I have some more information now about the project that I didn't know before, and I appreciate that. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that everything goes well with your committee going forward.
Thanks.
And that's all the time that we have today for Saskatoon in Focus. Thank you so much for joining us. We value your feedback. This really is your program and can help make Saskatoon a better place when we hear from you. So send us an email, saskatooninfocus@gmail.com. Check our website, saskatooninfocus.ca. Connect with us on Twitter or find us on Facebook. You can get back to us and also give us ideas about other guests or questions that we should be asking people in the future. Thanks again for joining us, and remember, when we work together, we can make Saskatoon the best city in the world.